There was a wealth of Carabao Cup action last night. The busiest goal update show report would have come from Molineux as Wolves took on Chelsea. It ended Wolves 3, Chelsea 4. Little Jimmy Gittins at the death, Jim, making it seem a little bit more respectable.
Yeah, I mean, he had a fantastic game, didn't he? Two assists and that absolute belter of a goal.
That goal was a beauty.
I'm thinking no one's topping Esteval's goal there.
No.
And then Gittins just absolutely larrups that at the end, like he was angry with it. Off the near post from distance. Yeah, beautiful. An amazing game. Absolutely what you want from the Carabao. I love Esteval's goal
as well, Jim.
Yeah, just lovely little lofted, whatever you want to call that. Also, I think we probably should apologise to the listeners a little bit because Tyreek George got on the score sheet. Yeah. And we mentioned recently that the Chelsea players call him Evil Saka. And we were thinking, what is an equivalent of Star Boy? And I think we settled on Bastard Boy. And appropriately enough, now that Halloween is approaching, the obvious answer is, of course, Pentagram Boy. So that's much better. We should have spotted it. That's the thing about the Football Ramble. You know, if you don't like it, hang around for a couple of episodes and they'll do the better stuff they should have done back then. And then everything works out fine.
It's sponsored by Esprit d'Escalier, the Football Ramble. Things we should have said on the show. Nice move from Hwang to Tolo Arakadare. Tidy finish from him as well. The thing about Wolves at the moment is they made, I think, 11 changes for this match. Enzo Maresca made 10. And both teams look better for it, inexplicably. But they've got goals in the side, Wolves, and I don't know why they're not using them more.
Yeah, didn't they do this already once this season? Like changed, like the Carabao Cup team beat West Ham, so they became the Premier League team, and then they lost and they changed back. So I mean, we'll see.
It's like supporting a team when they went until they lose.
then they beat Everton in the League Cup as well. Yeah. About 3 weeks after losing at home to them in the league.
It's absolutely wild.
It's honestly a shame to see the back of them in the Carabao because we've seen a side of Wolves that just simply isn't there in the Premier League.
I know, yeah. I mean, I know they're rooted to the bottom of the table. I know everybody wants Vitor Pereira out, but when you see them playing like that, Luke, there's something there. They've got goals. Like a couple of their forwards were trying to be signed by decent teams in the Premier League. Why can't they get this right?
Well, you say that it's great to see. They conceded 4 goals at home, Peter.
Correct.
So, I mean, they're out of the cup competition. So, right. I mean, I don't think they'll be going away, with warm feelings in their belly necessarily off the back of getting beat. Like as you kind of mentioned earlier, it became more respectable after half time, but they were 3-0 down after 40 minutes. It's worth pointing that out. So, they've got goals. But I also found an interesting flashpoint was Liam Delap's return to the side.
Yes.
Incredible decision while already on a yellow to basically see an opportunity for the ball being up in the air, not taking his eyes off a defender at any point and just piling into him, and then complaining that he's got sent off for it.
He's forgotten how to do this.
Yeah, very much so. The look he gave the defender as well, he might as well have got binoculars out. He telegraphed it so obviously that he did in fact know what he was doing. Mad decision.
Yeah, absolutely crazy stuff. I mean, it was good to see Jose Sarr coming back in after he obviously confronted those angry fans at the weekend. Good to see him get a big game time.
Maybe didn't go exactly as he would have planned.
No, and one would suggest that he should have been remonstrating with fans after this match, not the one at the weekend necessarily.
Yeah.
But,
you put me off. See what you've done?
You've knocked me confidence. I shouldn't be arguing with people in the bloody
car park. I couldn't drive
up
the car park the other day. It took me ages to get home. Now I'm knackered.
Yeah. I mean, those nervy 6 minutes of added time were a sight to behold. Something really, something for the Wolves fans to get their teeth into.
My favourite thing about that was when Wolves get their third goal and they're kind of rushing back down to take the kick-off again in like the 91st minute or whatever it was. Ladislav Krejci is the guy sort of in the net, and he just cannot help but push Mark Cucurella over. There's no need to do it. I think players get into that guy's vicinity and they just can't help it. They just do it without even thinking about it.
It was great because obviously Cucurella tried his very best to clear it off the line, couldn't do it, ended up piling himself in the net like a big tuna. Then as soon as he untangled himself, just got piled over by a Wolves player. It's great to see. It's my favourite passenger player of the game, actually.
There is an ever-growing compilation of people doing that to him, and that's surely going on there.
And The other thing to note, I mean, obviously Wolves conceding 4 at home, being a bit chaotic, showing a bit, as you said, Pete, in the League Cup, which they won't be able to do anymore because they're now out. But Chelsea themselves have been like totally chaotic. My favourite part of the whole discourse around this game was Enzo Maresca after the game saying his team need to, quote, grow up because it's their 6th red card in 9 games. Yeah. One of them was his.
That's a very good point, actually.
What example are you setting, Enzo?
No. He said that the Delap bookings were stupid and embarrassing.
Agree.
I mean, Maresca got sent off for celebrating. I mean, that's out of all the things you could do, I think that's probably one of the more, understandable things.
And I think haven't the last 3 red cards all been like really late on when the games were won? So, I mean, in terms of how damaging they could be, I'm not saying they should keep doing it from their perspective, from my perspective, and I think every neutral's perspective, we'd love them to keep doing it because it's funny.
Keep doing it, yeah.
But they are they're not losing points because of it, at least. So that's presumably a step in the right disciplinary direction.
Yeah, I mean, their next matches are Tottenham on Saturday before they head to Karabag, which is one hell of a trip in the Champions League on Wednesday. That's about as far as you need to go in that competition. For Wolves, we talked, I think, on the Tuesday show about whether the new manager bounce is a thing anymore. Would this be a dice that needs to be rolled at this point in the season, rooted to the foot of the Premier League table? They need something, Luke. They need something, Wolves, and they need it fast. Yeah,
and they're off to Fulham at the weekend. So Fulham haven't been great, so they would probably see that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation because I think there's a lot of, obviously, unrest, a lot of dissatisfaction. The fans there for fairly obvious reasons. There's a bit of an absent ownership as well. It's confusing to me. Maybe it's just something I've missed, but it's confusing to me that Pereira's been given a new contract just a handful of weeks ago, which at the time maybe looked like they were showing confidence in him. They were happy with some of the the signs they were seeing, perhaps. But it does feel like, doesn't it, the type of manager he is, the profile of man he is, the career he's had. I wonder whether once this kind of get up and at him, I'm mental, do what I say, I'm frightening, but I'm also quite inspiring. I'll jump on the horse and lead you into the charge with my sword in the air. Once that wears off and everyone's tired of getting slaughtered, you wonder whether he's got any tactical ability to turn things around. Yeah, my big question back to you guys and perhaps to the listeners as well would be: has Pereira got anything in his locker that shows that he can change it up, get the team back on side, get the fans back on side, do something a bit different tactically to get them up and running? Because it's going to be very, very difficult, particularly when you take into account that the promoted sides have looked pretty good overall, much better than they've looked the last couple of seasons. So it's difficult for them.
I mean, their issue seems to be that they start playing well when the game is like practically lost, right?
Yeah.
When they're already kind of losing quite badly, we've seen in recent weeks that actually, that there is something about them, and they can get a little bit of kind of a shot of adrenaline in the arm. It's just channeling that earlier, isn't it?
And Chelsea were a good side on their day, by the way.
Absolutely, and also, I mean, a very changed Chelsea side still has some really, really good players in it. I mean, all of the goal scorers are very good. I think this is a bit of a kind of landmark performance for Jamie Gittins. We've not seen a huge amount of him for Chelsea, and we obviously know he's a talented player, and we've seen a real demonstration of that now. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of comes into the first team a bit more. But yeah, I mean, of course, they're not. Chelsea aren't the sort of opposition that Wolves are going to define their season by. But the issue is that they're struggling against absolutely everybody,
Yeah, and if you ask most Chelsea fans as well on the other side of things, people just are not happy with the way that Enzo Maresca is behaving on the touchline, but also managing this team, this obsession with these inverted fullbacks that don't seem to be getting any kind of joy out of sides, and also just this ill discipline that I know some of the players are younger than others, but I think a lot of people are a little bit kind of like they're positionally quite naive. Defensively, they just can't stop letting goals in. I mean, where do they go from here, Luke? It's they're obviously got a lot of competitions to play in this season, and they've gone a little bit further in this competition. They're going to be playing Cardiff in the next round, which you would imagine they'd get through that test, though who knows. But right now, Chelsea fans, they're not happy with how Maresca's setting up, Luke.
Well, they're a good. I think they've got makers of a good cup team, though. Yeah. I think on their day they have. On their day they're decent. Like
they won 2 of them last year.
Exactly.
Good point, actually. Yeah.
So I think. Look, Chelsea run themselves in a way which is quite chaotic. They've got millions of players. They've always been quite itinerant by which I mean their managers come and go, the players come and go. They trade a lot. Look, on their day they're good, but they're also exactly what you'd expect them to be, which is a little bit kind of disjointed occasionally. But then, having said that, they've actually been decent. Recently, I understand they lost at home to Sunderland. Sunderland are a really good team this season, and Sunderland scored in the 92nd minute to win. I don't actually think a 1-1 draw would have been terrible against Sunderland, and they were very close to that. So they've also smashed teams, and they beat Liverpool as well fairly recently. So look, Arsenal are the team to beat this season. Do Chelsea have designs on winning the league? I mean, they should have, because of the money they've spent and because of the size of the club they are. But that's probably unrealistic this season. Because Arsenal have been so good and because Chelsea can be inconsistent. But I think they've got the makings of a good cup team. I do. And I think the issues they had in September were kind of weird issues around individual mistakes and kind of disciplinary stuff. And the disciplinary stuff hasn't sorted itself out yet because of all the red cards they keep getting. But I think, like I say, as I keep saying, on their day, they're a good side.
Well, did you see, Jim, that Eden Hazard has joined the Premier League Hall of Fame this week, along with Gary Neville, obviously ex-Chelsea, Eden Hazard. He's only like 34. It just seems weird that he would be in a Hall of Fame at a time where he could still be playing.
It's weird, isn't it? And obviously, unfortunately for Hazard, injuries played a big part in his early retirement. So he played in a Legends game recently, didn't he? And he actually, even though he's 34, like he does look quite a bit older than he did when he was a player, but I think he's just. I really respect Eden Hazard because he just he enjoys the finer things in life if he wants to, doesn't he? Do you remember he used to come back from like the summer like a little bit overweight, and sometimes people would have a word with him. I'd be like, I've been on holiday. I'm gonna eat what I want. It's my holiday. Fair enough.
This booty don't grow on its own, buddy.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, he had a separate diet to enhance the junk in that trunk. I'm always left cold by any sort of Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
just like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just like,
that's crap.
That's
very political.
I know that I either like this band or I don't like this band. Like them being...
I think it's different for sport though, Jim. I think.
You think?
Yeah, and I think also the cynical side of the Hall of Fame, I think it's clearly aping what American sport does.
Yeah,
and so is it necessary? Probably not. But I think it's quite a nice thing for players who. Particularly for players, I mean, this doesn't apply to Hazard or Neville because obviously they both won the Premier League. But it's a nice thing for players who perhaps didn't maybe achieve all the things they wanted to achieve in their team, and now they're retired, they can get a little bit of recognition. And I quite like the idea of building a group of players who have undoubtedly been the best players in Premier League history. I think it's quite a nice thing. I don't really like it during the careers themselves. I don't think it really necessarily matters if you win Players' Player or Footballer of the Year or whatever it may be, because it's a team sport. Obviously, once you've retired, there's time to be reflective and a little bit more retrospective. I think it's quite a nice thing. I also would just say that yes, Hazard retired young. I think he had to retire at 32. He started young and he packed a lot into his career. I mean, he got 126 caps for Belgium. Obviously, won a couple of Premier Leagues, a couple of Europa Leagues. Played for Real Madrid. I don't think he can necessarily have too many regrets about it, but like you say, he got paid back by injuries. And I would also say, by the way, on the Gary Neville side of things, I've seen this happen quite a lot over the last few weeks, and it's probably just internet chat and Twitter doing Twitter things, but I've found a lot of people being quite disrespectful about Gary Neville's playing career.
Yeah,
possibly because I totally understand this. Right, he is quite an annoying bloke sometimes, and he's everywhere all the time, which obviously breeds contempt.
He's also very self-deprecating about his own career, which I think people join in with.
Yeah, quite. But I mean, Gary Neville was, the best right back in the Premier League for a long time. Won incredible amounts of trophies for Manchester United, was part of their golden period where they could have had any player they wanted, and they stuck with Gary Neville, who came from the academy and stayed there basically till he retired. You could apply the same thing to Ryan Giggs. There's a lot of hate on Ryan Giggs as a player these days, which I've noticed, which is absolutely mad.
Very odd.
Totally mad. So I think, it is worth just pointing out that yes, players can be annoying in their retirement. They can be quite
and problematic.
Partisan. Yeah, and problematic, of course, in the case of Ryan Giggs. But if we are going to be in this position where we separate the art from the artist, as it were, Gary Neville was a first-class player in the Premier League.
Of course he was, yeah. And
he
was
undoubtedly worthy of his Hall of Fame entry. And I just don't think there should be any debate about that, really.
Massive player for England as well. Really, really reliable player for England for a long time.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't always kind of, spectacular to watch in terms of the aesthetic of it. Doesn't mean he wasn't a really brilliant.
Well, he did that.
Player.
It was. I think sometimes players who learn their craft rather than have it God given, like his brother, they they just sort of go, "Oh, well, he's not as good a player because he learned how to be brilliant." And we saw him learn how to be brilliant. Which is,
hey, you nerd, you learned that in a book.
Also, the fullback role's changed entirely. It's unrecognisable now. When Gary Neville was playing, it wasn't the same. No. And his job was a supportive role. It was a defensive role. It was a hard work role. And so, I found the Giggs thing particularly weird. Like there was a lot of chat.
Ryan Giggs was
week.
the best footballer in Europe for like a good season and a half. I think he was amazing.
He won 30. He won 13 Premier League titles, and there's people online saying, "Oh, look at his assist record, look at his goals record." Like Ryan Giggs was so good. He was so good. The crossover between people who have decided that he wasn't actually that good and was overrated, and people who aren't old enough to have seen him play is probably quite absolute. Really,
I'd expect so. And also the assists thing and the goals thing comes from the fact that later in his career he changed his position, didn't he? So he was a little bit more withdrawn and wasn't kind of on the front line so much as you'd expect. And he was also quite pioneering in terms of things like yoga and kind of different methods to kind of keep your body in the type of shape you need to be in to play Premier League football at kind of an advanced age. I think he was 40 when he retired, wasn't he? His longevity was not just because he didn't stop playing. He had to work really hard on that, and that was an achievement in itself.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't go to work, you don't see people to have sex with. Former Chelsea boss Avram Grant, speaking of which, has been sacked by Zambia after failing to qualify for the World Cup. This was his 14th job across 53 years of coaching, which is just incredible. These kind of managers who kind of like float around doing international jobs, I love these sort of gun for hire jobs, and they never stop. They do it well into their 80s.
Yeah, it's great. It feels very... I mean, I'm basing this really on Hervé Renard, but it does feel like quite a Mills and Booney job, doesn't it? Just sweeping around the world, just seeing these exotic locations.
I don't want to think about Avram Grant in a Mills and Boone role. Thank you very much.
Well, it's on him, isn't it? For the famous
also,
time that he was seen outside that Portsmouth brothel.
Well into his 80s. He's only just 70, Pete. Have a bit of respect.
I know, but I didn't say him. I just said other managers. If you listen, for crying out loud, instead of thinking about what Avram Grant was getting up to in his Portsmouth tracks.
I can't stop thinking about it. And by the way, can I also say...
Give him some R&R. He's had a busy job for Zambia.
The brothel was in Southampton.
Right. Sure. So wasn't it on an industrial estate in Southampton, just to really paint a picture?
It was in Horton Heath, which is in Eastleigh, which is a part of Southampton.
Sexual. All right, then. We'll be back in a moment to talk all things Liverpool. And there's a lot to talk about.
Is there anybody in this audience that's remotely close to my age? So, young man, you look about 12, Which is nice to know, So, that's a compliment, by the way,
Martin O'Neill there, doing what he does best in front of an audience, belittling people.
Yeah, being a bit weird.
Do you remember that Robbie Williams? I sent that Robbie Williams clip to somebody quite recently where he was being interviewed. I can't remember. I think it was the last tournament, bar one, I think. And he was basically saying to Robbie Williams that he wasn't talented, and he's really surprised at his success.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a classic clip.
Love it.
It's a classic clip.
He basically calls him the Gary Neville of Take That, doesn't he?
Which is rude for both of them. Yes, thank you to Mr. Momo2696 on Discord for bringing that clip to our attention. Martin O'Neill has had an instant impact at Celtic. They beat Falkirk 4-0 last night, 2-0 at the break, and he was very delighted. He said, "I've not seen Celtic often, not live, to make criticism of this side. A restoration of confidence was great. Not watched the team, but I'm here now. Maybe I'll get it permanently." Yeah. What a great quote.
He also said, first of all, he'd be absolutely delighted to have a doozy of a game for his first. Falkirk at home. Thank you very much indeed. I'll take that.
6 points. 6 points. Cut the lead's cut to 6 points. Lovely.
He said, I was concerned before the game, but that's just a trait of mine. That's something to do with my dreadful insecurity problems.
Wow. And history of investigating murders.
3 years older than Avram Grant, by the way, Pete. So you're going to have a dig at him as well?
I will, yeah. Well, I don't think anyone's excited about him being at Celtic, not even the Celtic fans. But a 4-0 win at home against Falkirk will no doubt remove grist from the mill. Can you remove grist from mill? Maybe you can. From Kian on email, hearing a chat about Celtic owner Dermot Desmond's magnificent moustache reminded me of a story from when I used to work for a company owned by Mr. Desmond in Dublin. The company worked in biometric security and was preparing a demonstration of their face recognition system to show Dermot. Due to the prominence of his moustache, the algorithm had to be specially trained on men with copious facial hair in order to not fail spectacularly when he tried to use it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's probably, knowing that the moustache has come back into fashion a little bit.
It certainly has around these parts.
Exactly. Yeah, you're the only moustacheless man here. Exactly. I mean, that gave you a bit of a leg up in the biometric security game. Right, the match we kind of have to talk about because it's just funny, I'm afraid, Liverpool fans. Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 3. A good old, honest-to-God cop towel throwing. We've got our game back, Lukey Moore. We've got our game back. The result that says, get in front against us and we won't chase you. Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 3. I'm having it.
It was incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I think what we're seeing now is an amazing, mirroring of what we saw last season, but just with different teams, right? So no one expected, I say no one. I'm sure there are lots of people out there who were, had the foresight to see it, but I certainly didn't. Given that Klopp had left Liverpool, people didn't really expect Liverpool to do as well as they did last season and win the league, right?
Yeah.
No one expected that Man City pile-in that happened, admittedly, a bit later in the year last year, November. But the parallels are amazing because Liverpool have now completely piled in. Arsenal are in danger of running away with it. So the parallels are quite interesting. You just substitute Liverpool for Arsenal, substitute Man City for Liverpool. This is getting interesting now. This is quite bad. Yeah. You start off with the idea that, okay, they've signed big players. They've got to have a bit of a mix and a blend. This is the first time Slot's kind of made big changes because obviously last season only really brought Federico Chiesa in. He didn't play much. Now they've trying to blend all these players in, and Slot is now in a full-blown crisis because they look so poor, poor. And as you guys were saying on Monday, at times against Brentford were just walking through them. Well, Palace were walking through Liverpool last night. I mean, at one point, I think it was the second goal, the Liverpool defender makes an inexplicable decision to follow a really obvious run when there's a clear overlap, but it gives just the freedom of the penalty area to score. Ismail Assar to score his second goal. I think it was the second goal. And then after that, it's really, really tepid stuff. Now, I would say that obviously they made a lot of changes. Obviously, Slot perhaps felt like he wanted to give some players a bit of time out of the spotlight, give them a rest. They played quite an unfamiliar shape. The players that they brought in some cases are, just unknown
just really
teenage
young,
players, I suppose.
Yeah.
A lot of them were essentially FM regens. There's no way on earth that Wellerty Lucky is a real person. There's no way on earth Trent Kone-Doherty is a real person, yet they've now played for Liverpool. Shout out to Amara Nalo as well for getting sent off for the second time in his Liverpool career at the tender age of 18. So all in all, it couldn't have gone worse. The only thing you could say is that they made a lot of changes. That's the only thing you can kind of add in the opposite column. I have now, if I was a Liverpool fan, I would now be really, really worried. I know I've seen some Liverpool fans call for patience, say that he won the league last season. We're only in October. We've got to give him time, etc., etc. If this continues, it's going to be really interesting. Aston Villa are in great nick. They've just beaten Man City. After that, they played Real Madrid, who I know have had their own problems with Xavi Alonso, but are clearly a very talented team. And then they've got Man City away. This is the next 3 games for Liverpool are essentially going to sum up their season entirely.
Pep will be looking at that fixture, sort of go like, we could really do something here. We could really get something over on Liverpool here. I mean, like Jim, you can kind of approach fixtures like this in 2 or 3 ways, really. You play the kids, and if you get tonked, you've destroyed a generation of kids. You play a full strength side.
An overstatement. Destroyed a generation.
Destroyed an entire generation of kids.
Because they lost a game in the League Cup.
And you play a full strength side, and if you get tonked, you're risking your best players for injury and stuff like that, and you're going to get criticised if you get tonked. But at this point in Liverpool's season, playing a team that you can't say they're not familiar with, you want to play yourself back into a little bit of liquor form, especially who you've got next week.
I couldn't agree more, Pete. Like Slot said after the game that like people think Liverpool's squad is deeper than it is, and that obviously they have a tradition of kind of playing younger players in this competition, and I understand that because a lot of the bigger sides do that. But given the circumstances they're in, Liverpool have won a lot of trophies consistently through their history, and the League Cup has been one of those trophies. A run in that cup would be an opportunity for them to actually kind of claw back some positivity, move the Slot era further on a little bit. Klopp picked up those trophies, and it is an important,
because the Champions League game against Frankfurt, Jim, seemed like a bit of a holiday, didn't it?
It really did. Yeah, it really did. And as you say, Pete, the opposition, they're familiar with them. This is the 3rd time Crystal Palace have beaten them this season in 3 different competitions, in 3 different venues. Ismaila Sarr has scored in every single one of those games, interestingly. So it feels like some sort of literal haunting by the failure to sign Mark Gahey. It's just happening to Liverpool over and over again. It's the can we play you every week chant, but it's actually happening.
Can I just chime in and say that I would... One of the things that would really kind of worry me is that in this game, for the first kind of, 35 minutes or so, it was quite nip and tuck.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't obvious that Palace were going to run away with it. Liverpool were probing. It was quite an interesting, intriguing encounter. And then when Palace scored, Liverpool fell apart, and they didn't show anything after half time really either that showed that they could get back in the game. They had 1 shot on target all game at home. Like I say, I know they made changes, but there was a point quite early in the game when Rio Ungamoa almost scored an absolute beauty. The shape on that ball was a beauty, like a joy to behold. But that was really it. And they've already gone through a week ago this idea that Van Dijk has gone public saying, we've had a crisis meeting, we sat down, it's got to be better, myself included, we're showing the leadership now, we've got to sort it out. They cannot defend. And it's bad. It is bad. The eye test makes it look super, super bad now.
A couple of years ago, when Klopp would do this sort of thing where he'd sort of have a mix and a blend and bring in like a load of young players to Carabao Cup matches, so much so that you almost thought, is he trying to get out of this competition? Yeah. But they were too good at the back to let goals in, so they just kept progressing, which is upsetting. But you watch players like Chiesa, he seemed to be the only player who wanted to kind of hold up the ball, maintain an attack, and he spent a lot of time sort of encouraging some of the younger players, and I thought that was a lovely thing to see, but a bright spot in a very dark evening for Liverpool. Palace were subbing players 2/3 of the way through the match just for a laugh, just to protect them for the weekend, because Liverpool were just showing nothing.
Job done.
Nothing about them. Yeah. Job done.
Yeah.
But Liverpool have a history this season of scoring quite late, but they just seem like the light's gone out and there's nobody home to get them through.
I'd love it if Glasner, when he was doing that, was just as they were coming off in earshot of Arne Slot going, treat yourself to an early bath.
Enjoy it.
You have a bath. Have a lovely old time in the bath. This is job done. Do you remember Rafa Benitez? Who is it? Was it Sam Allardyce got really pissed off with Rafa Benitez because Liverpool scored a second goal in the game, and Benitez kind of went like that. Done. As in the game is done. And Allardyce was like hugely disrespectful.
Yeah.
Just watch the game.
I'd love it if Glasner did something like that as well.
Yeah, just starts reading a book on the side.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when Benitez used to take his glasses off when the game was done, put it in his top pocket? That was always great to see.
Oh, I love that. Thrilling.
So good. like he's taken his glasses off and he's going, I now no longer need to do any more work.
I can give my eyes a rest.
Rest, yeah. He didn't quite go on the bench and have a lovely old snooze with his feet up, but he should have done.
Sleep mask.
We should remember when we're talking about Slot, and this is a challenge for him, and you know the way the discourse goes, you know, people are going to start calling him a fraud and all the rest of it.
We
should remember that when he came in, obviously he delivered Liverpool a Premier League title, but the season before he came in, Liverpool finished third, and the season before that, they finished fifth, right? It's not the case, it's just simply not accurate to say that Slot came in and just stuck his feet under the desk at Klopp's club and obviously he was going to win the league. One, that is a junior school level of understanding of how dynamics between human beings actually work anyway. But two, it's not like the third title in a row. They come fifth and then third. So he should, by rights, have a lot of credit in the bank here. I would say at least till kind of January, February time. And if Liverpool go so bad that they finish fifth, well, guess what? They finished fifth a few seasons ago. Yeah. So this is not unprecedented territory for Liverpool.
It's the purchases, though, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah, the eye test makes it look bad. I think we don't have as much. If you're a Liverpool fan, you don't have as much experience of what Slot's able to do to turn things around, just simply because you haven't seen it yet, because this is his first real test.
Yeah, and I also think that the signings feel like a problem now in terms of they're being used as a stick to beat Slot with. But I think this is going to be a short term kind of news cycle issue, really. I think the quality of those players will tell out in the end. Maybe not all of them. You know, making a lot of signings at once is always risky, isn't it? Because not every signing's going to work out. So maybe a few of them aren't what you expect, and then you move on from those players. But I think, you know, I think Wirtz will come good. Isak will come good. Ekitike's already working. I think, you know, this season, obviously, already it looks like it's not going to be what Liverpool expected. But we are hearing like actual rumblings of people like wondering if Slot might be for it soon, which we were joking about a couple of weeks ago. And obviously, it's not as dramatic as that, because that's deranged.
I'm sure the fans will be as sanguine as they're known to usually be in situations like this. They're a club that are just supported so well right across the world, so it's kind of hard to know who the kind of normal supporters are when it comes to stuff like this, because there's just so much hyperbole and there's so much money to be made by being hyperbolic about it as well. Anyway, elsewhere on Barrack Road, the holders Newcastle United were taking on Spurs. Pretty professional job this. Newcastle too. Tottenham nil. Both teams making changes, but Newcastle, they kind of won at a canter, to be honest, Jim.
Yeah, and they looked really... They look really energised and calm, and there's a sense that this is our cup and we're not going to give it up easily. I was really, really impressed with, once again, Nick Woltemade, particularly his composure for his goal. It's the way he positioned himself really, really well. And he timed that header so well. But like when you watch the replay of it, you can see him adjusting his body like 4 or 5 different times. He is really... I guess he's got an advantage being sort of lighthouse-sized in those scenarios.
Yeah, the word is tall. You're looking for the word tall there, aren't you, Jim?
Yeah, but
he's just very tall.
But you've got to use those advantages, right? And he's really, really adept at doing that. And I just think he's so much fun to watch. He looks like he's just sold you the best coffee you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, he does.
After Vish has recommended a place to you in Berlin. It doesn't look like a footballer at all. But
he's the only player who looks like he should have like an apron on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like an artisanal butcher, maybe.
Yeah, he does. Can I pour water on slightly on what you just said, Jim, and just say that I have no idea what Anton Kinski's doing in that area of the pitch.
Fair.
Like, he doesn't need to come out to try and punch it a full 2 seconds after Woltemade headed it. You know, stay on your line. You might save it. You know, you're a pretty big lad. From what we've seen, you're a pretty good shot stopper. You might have a chance at saving that header, which, by the way, wasn't that hard. It wasn't like a bullet header or anything.
No.
So I think he's made to look better by Kinski's decision, but I do agree broadly with what you're saying.
Oh, I mean, Jim, did you see Ramsdale's serve? Oh,
yes.
One-handed, strong left hand for an absolute rocket.
He's got them in him.
Oh, he has got him in him. He has got them in him. Joe Linton probably should have gone late on, but there's no VAR.
That was an erotic challenge for me.
He sort of roared him like a bull.
Yeah.
There's a sense, isn't there, that, you know, perhaps if there's no VAR, Eddie Howe's gone to Joe Linton. Go on, mate.
Go on.
I've one for you late on.
Wait, hang on, Joel. That's not what I meant. Don't hump him.
Yeah, and speaking of...
Kudos looked like violated. He looked offended. He was like, what were you doing? Why have you wrapped yourself around me?
And well-deserved little kind of set to from about 5 different people squaring up at each other. Bruno Guimaraes, who was obviously involved in that, he applauded the referee after he unintentionally stopped a Tottenham counter-attack. It just sort of bounced off the back of the ref's foot, and he couldn't do anything about it. It was a really quick sort of counter-attack, but Bruno Guimaraes just absolutely clapping and laughing.
Don't worry, Spurs, that's the bad news. The good news is you get a drop ball uncontested in a neutral area, so that's not a consolation prize. I don't know.
You'd be absolutely fuming if that happened to your team, wouldn't you?
Oh,
in a cup game?
Yeah. I feel like, as well, I mean, this is a bit cheeky of me, but I'm going to put it out there. Given the profile of team that Frank played last night, and the fact that against Doncaster at home, he did a kind of similar thing, I think he might have had his designs on this trophy. I think he might have been a bit like, this is winnable for us. If you look at the game they played against Doncaster at home, I understand they made a few changes. Like Kinski wouldn't start in goal, Pellegrini wouldn't play at centre-back. But I mean, Pellegrini is a world-class player, you know.
Yeah,
they played a strong team, and they've obviously now gone out. I think Thomas Frank will be low-key pretty disappointed about this.
Yeah, and it all kind of went through. Their fortunes kind of went through Richarlison for me. Like, he spent most of the time on the floor. He kind of, every time he was needed in a position, usually at the back post, he was a full yard behind where he was meant to be. There were times last night he just looked like he was wearing slippers. I don't know whether there's a stud issue or just the ground being too wet. I don't know, but it was really disappointing because at the start of the season there were signs that Thomas Frank was starting to get Richarlison back on side, but now he's angling for a move, Jim.
Yeah, he's a funny one, Richarlison, isn't he? Because he does go through these fits and starts of form, and he seems to need to work really hard to be focused, because otherwise he can be... He's an odd one in that he can be sort of spectacular on form sometimes. He's capable of some really eye-catching, really good stuff. Or he can also seem sort of clownish, like the complete opposite of that, where he's just sort of just all over the place and you question how he's in the team at all. And you know, last night was one of the latter performances. And
it has been for a decent while now. I mean, you know, he's just... I can't get away from the fact that he seems just like he's a prat.
Yes.
Right? And it gets in the way of his football. I know he's had his issues off the pitch. I know he's spoken quite eloquently about how difficult he's found it occasionally, and we should be sympathetic to that, of course. But he goes on these unbelievably barren runs. Like, he's a £50 million striker.
Yeah.
Right. I know it's not his fault that he cost that much, but that's the level that the game decided he's worth, right? And he's only scored 1 goal, I think, for club or country since like the second week of the season, possibly even the first day of the season. And if you are a team that's got the ambitions that Spurs have got and the ability to spend money that they've got, you just need to be better than that. And he should really. And the thing is about it is what the dynamic is that he's had a touch because Dominic Solanke's got a serious injury and he can't play, right? If everyone's fit at Spurs, Richarlison doesn't start because Solanke's usurped him. Solanke's out of the picture, and Richarlison's not taking that opportunity. He was absolutely... I mean, when they played at home to Wolves and they drew 1-1, which is a really poor result for Spurs, back in September. He was diabolically bad. Like, he was so poor. He also got dragged against Monaco away from home. Obviously, the whole team were fairly poor that day or that evening, but he was bad. Last night, he looked... I completely agree with you, Peter. He picked up a booking quite early on and seemed to take all the wind out of his sails. He was well off it after that, and that's unfortunately that's part of his game, you know.
Yeah, and Spurs at this point in time, they do have a lot of first-team injuries. Probably one of the worst injury records in the league, and it's just good to see the Ange effect continuing.
That's dogged him for years, that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I guess
it seems
so.
to have dogged him for such a long time, yeah.
And you're like, Thomas Frank probably sees what how the Ange win in Europe, with the last kick of the ball of his tenure, being such a sort of having such a kind of cleansing effect of his legacy at Spurs. He'd probably sort of think, if I can win this kind of League Cup, or certainly get to the final, give him a bit of Wembley football in the first season of me being here, and you could probably expect Spurs to sort of do something like that with the squad that they've got and the acquisitions they've made. this could, really give me the next 2 seasons and give me a bit of money, give me some players that I want for this squad, and launder my reputation as well. It's a shame that they've gone out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, you've got to give your own team credit there, though, Pete. That's a nightmare draw for Spurs. Newcastle away, especially given that Frank is still getting to grips with the squad. The squad is a little bit kind of, stuck together with tape and kind of a glue gun because of the injuries, whereas Newcastle was so organised, so very well established under Howe. Even players coming in and out of the team that aren't playing every week, like Fabian Schär hasn't perhaps played as much this season, has he? But he's such an experienced campaigner. It was obviously part of the team that won this competition last season. They are a really difficult proposition, as I remember very well from last season. So they are. I think Spurs were quite unfortunate with a draw there as well.
Yeah, I mean the subs coming off the bench, you're bringing on people like Trippier and Joe Linton. You're like, right, okay. I mean, you can see out games
and Gordon
if you've gone ahead.
They will hump you over the finishing line, essentially, quite literally.
They will indeed. But going back to Richarlison briefly, there are rumours that David Moyes is interested at Everton. I mean, over the hill striker, that's going to be $5 million more than you can afford. That's Everton price.
I can absolutely see that, because if you've got Beto, why not make the most sideways move in football history and replace him with Richarlison? They both speak the same language as well.
Lucas Paquetá is also briefing clearly that he wants to leave West Ham in January. It's briefing season. Right. It's briefing season.
It's Brazilian briefing season.
After that second international break, if you want that January move, get it out there. Get it out there. Get your agent on it.
Play shit in the League Cup. Yeah, lovely.
Wanting to leave West Ham is ultimately a default position. I think it's probably better if people come out, they say they want to stay. Then that would really be notable.
Just call a press conference to say that you haven't spoken to your agent for a while. I
saw a West Ham content creator type the other day on Twitter posting a screenshot of the transfer marked page of West Ham's business and saying, this is the worst transfer window in Premier League history. Classic over-the-top stuff from the West Ham fans.
Indeed. Well, finally for now, before we hit the break, former Tottenham defender Toby Alderweireld is rumoured to be a contestant on the Belgium edition of The Masked Singer. It is thought that he's playing the character Eagle Owl.
Yeah, I saw this.
Beautiful
if it is him,
costume.
It's genuinely not a bad voice.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah.
When he was asked if it was him, he said something like, "Who knows?" So I was like, "Hey, so it is you then." It definitely is you, because you're not saying no, are you?
Aren't you briefed to sort of say no, or is he briefed to always tell the truth? I don't know. Like to be vague about it.
No idea. I'm not that au fait with briefing season. You'd have to ask Lucas Paquetá.
What I think should be happening is if these Belgian slugs want to do their own Masked Singer, they should be doing Belgian songs. He was doing Mr. Brightside in English. What's wrong with your pop scene?
This is a Korean format, is it not?
I think it probably is, yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you should be doing Belgian language songs.
I see.
What, Plastic Bertrand? That's the only one.
I don't know any.
Ça plan pour moi. That's the only one.
Should we Mr. Brightside in Belgian?
At Pukkelpop.
Pukkelpop Festival, yes. Oh, tack. That might be Swedish. Coming up after this, Pep Guardiola finally gives Tony Pulis the respect he deserves. Welcome back to the Football Ramble. After yesterday's chat about Fulham goalkeeper Benjamin Lecomte, is it Lecomte? Lecomte?
We decided it was Lecomte yesterday, and we decided it was named after a cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. Ian on X has another cheese-based football pun. Tony Edams.
Yes, very good. So, I mean, we did limit ourselves to goalkeepers, but
we were thinking of keepers specifically. Yeah.
Fair. Okay. Right.
Players,
okay.
Reasonably as well.
Robert on YouTube, Brian Babybell and Nigel Nacho are my favourites, but Tom V on Discord has really gone the extra mile. Luke, do you want to read these out?
Yeah, so the goalkeeper, this is a real bit of low-hanging cheese that we should have got, guys.
Yeah.
Peter Stilton.
Yeah, I know.
I was gutted when I read that. Absolutely gutted.
This is Pentagram Boy all over again.
Yeah. But I'll give you a few of my favourites. Gianfranco Gorgonzola, obviously.
Great.
Pecorino Gattuso. Neil Stinking Bishop, that's my favourite.
Come on, isn't Stinking Bishop just like one of those stupid supermarket brands rather than actual?
I think
just a derivation of some fucking cheesemaker went, I'm going to call this naughty cheese, and everyone's going to buy it.
It all counts, mate.
Well, interestingly enough, there's also a Stinking Bishop pear.
Okay, nice.
Which is apparently grown almost exclusively in part of Gloucestershire for Perry, for a bit of Perry. But Stinking Bishop
that would
cheese.
go with cheese.
Stinking Bishop cheese, now I think is a kind of well-respected, specific type of cheese from the same part of Gloucestershire, and it's been made and produced since 1972. Described as a washed rind cheese, and was absolutely instrumental in the reintroduction of the old Gloucester cow that was almost going extinct. So give it a bit of respect. Put some respect in its name, because it's performed a very, very important
new cheeses,
role.
like 70s cheeses full of asbestos probably. I'll not have that. But if it's saving a cow, I think that's absolutely
There's
fine.
a chance we may hear from the PR department of Stinking Bishop Cheese there. You're claiming
they do not have asbestos.
Edam Lafondra.
Nice.
Lafondra, I like
Very
it. Well,
Philadelphia Neville. That's a brand name.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good. That's just a generic soft cheese, Jim. I'm not having that.
Yeah. All I've got is Antoine Cheeseman.
That's nice.
And Alan Watsich, which is
nice.
I will admit is a stretch.
A cheese flavoured snack.
Swansea 1, Manchester City 3. Only the second time this season that Man City have played without Erling Haaland. He'll be fuming at that, won't he, Luke? He wants to score more goals. He wants to munch more goals up against Swansea away from home.
He was at his local farm shop buying some raw milk and couldn't be contacted.
I bet all he eats is raw. All he drink. He probably does eat. Actually, he's probably fucking solid. But rotten raw milk, unpasteurised milk, and meat. He must stink.
Isn't raw milk something that certain areas of the right-wing manosphere online have started to take to?
Yes,
because they think that pasteurised milk is woke.
Sure.
Yes, I think that's it. Yeah,
okay.
Louis Pasteur.
And I saw a farmer. I saw a dairy farmer respond to one of them on Instagram saying, "I'm a dairy farmer." And these cows producing milk are disgusting. You should be getting your milk pasteurised, and that really is the end of it.
The things I've seen, don't they occasionally, because their stomachs just fill up with so much gas, they have to put a fucking tap on it to stop them from exploding.
Have you? I mean, I've been to a dairy farm. There's shit everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
There is shit everywhere.
And I like the idea that these kind of virgins online, the idea of milk is probably an abstract thing to them. They don't have any thought about it other than just where they get it from the local supermarket. And raw milk sounds raw.
Manly.
Raw dogging.
Milk
is,
raw dogging
like the Vikings would drink, so I'm going to do it.
Milk sounds like an inherently feminine thing, right? Obviously, because of the nature of being breastfed as a little helpless baby. So
you were breastfed till you were 13, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Swear by it. And that's what made me so strong. But this is it, it's looking to make it sort of Viking in some way, isn't it? It's very strange. I suppose when you are an actual Viking like Erling Haaland, it's probably fine.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got his reasons. Going back to the game itself, though, all the chat going into this this week was from people, I think, quite frankly, clutching at straws, saying, well, the only player that scores for Man City is Erling Haaland, and they're going to be in real trouble if he gets injured or he stops scoring. One, he won't stop scoring.
Get real.
Two, he never has. That's literally never happened. Two, they've been away to Swansea, admittedly a lower league type team, who to be fair though, did put Nottingham Forest to the sword, and three different players have scored. So
Doku Marmoush and Cherky. So,
and I mean, also Cherky, was quite unlucky getting an injury early in the season, so we've not really seen a huge amount of him yet. But he looks like a match-winning player. He's been excellent every time I've seen him play for them.
Very unlucky not to score a second.
Yeah, and obviously, Marmoush gets a goal as well. So they're two players who are very, very capable of making massive contributions.
I can't. When I saw that Doku and Marmoush scored, I couldn't, in the way it was written, I couldn't stop thinking about Doku Moosh, can you do the fandango?
Nice, yeah.
But I don't really like Queen, so I don't really know why that's happened.
Why don't you like Queen? Who doesn't like Queen?
I don't like Queen either, Pete.
It's just even dreadful, Pete.
Come on. They hardly fucking... I don't think anyone... I think everyone likes Queen. I think you're kidding yourselves. No. There'll be a song for you. There'll be a Queen song for you, surely, somewhere in there. Well, a lot of the chat coming into this match, inexplicably, was about Tony Pulis. Pep Guardiola suggested that Tony Pulis' Stoke City side inspired Premier League teams to become more direct. It's been a delayed response, one might suggest, Jim.
Yeah, he mentioned this in his new column, which is called Going Direct, which I absolutely love.
Who's giving Pulis a column in 2025?
Yeah.
I know the people who sort of go, everyone seems to be playing like Tony Pulis' Stoke now.
Completely. And he speaks a lot about that in the column, and he talks about how he thinks it's quite funny, like all the stuff with people like making pictures of Mikel Arteta but made up as Pulis, and he talks about how he actually loves it, but he can't resist a little dig at the end. Last line of the column, or last paragraph rather, Wenger is probably shaking his head about what Arsenal were doing, but I know Arteta sees the Stoke comparisons as a compliment, and so do the other Premier League managers who are doing the same.
He absolutely
needless to say,
absolutely hated him. And I can wear a coat. He was a bit of a trailblazer back in the day when he played. He got his UEFA A licence at 21.
Yeah, he was really young, wasn't he? He
absolutely wild.
Yeah, he also, I think he played in a Bournemouth with a very young Jamie Redknapp, which is very hard to picture, isn't it?
Well, he played in Hong Kong for a year when he was very young. He just went from England to Hong Kong for a year just so he could afford a wedding to his wife, which I think is a lovely thing. And they've been together ever since. Well, they were in 2017 when I read about this.
That's why Jordan Henderson went to Saudi. I also like that Tony Pulis is doing. I don't want to speculate on Tony Pulis' politics because I'm sure he's, who knows. But his columns on the BBC website, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That seems very woke for Pulis.
It's a bit like the premise of This Time with Alan Partridge, in that he could only get back on the BBC because of some massive mad cultural shift.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also good to see that BBC are always maintaining their neutrality by giving Pulis a column, but at the same time they've also given Ozzy Ardiles a column about tactics as well. So the balance has been restored.
Yeah. Well, elsewhere in the same competition, or elsewhere in the League Cup, we weren't really talking about the League Cup, we're talking about Tony Pulis. But either way, Arsenal beat Brighton 2-0. Fatboy Slim, who's a huge Brighton fan and was a minority shareholder quite famously, he was on the shirts for quite a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He revealed that he DJ'd for original Ronaldo's wedding back in 2005.
And the real take home from this is that he also revealed that Ronaldo full on snogged him. Like full on, like tongued him at his wedding.
Fatboy Slim versus Slim Boy Fat. Full on snogging.
I mean,
wow,
that's the best thing Fatboy Slim's ever done.
Yeah,
it's got to be. I mean, I've got no beef with him. I think I quite like him, but I think that has got to be up. I mean, imagine being asked to do that. That's an amazing claim.
Incredible. You have to say yes to that. I mean, if you're Fatboy Slim, you should be above DJing weddings, but that's one where you got to go, yeah, no, I'm absolutely doing that. Yeah, the disappointing thing is, in the article, Fatboy Slim refers to him as the original Fat Ronaldo, which I thought we were past.
That's a shame.
But yeah. Apparently not.
I also there was an intimation in there as well that I'm not sure the years quite add up, but when he said that Ronaldo full on snogged him, he also said that he kind of mentioned that he's now been 16 years sober. I was like, was that the trigger point?
Yeah.
I am getting off with Ronaldo. What's going on?
It's never going to get any better than this. I might as well just quit drinking now. No point going to parties anymore.
No, exactly. The quarter-final draw for the next round of the League Cup is as this. Yeah, fuck it. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, Cardiff versus Chelsea, Man City versus Brentford, and Newcastle versus Fulham. Fulham get to play Newcastle again. It's just part. They're going to be happy, aren't they?
Yeah, Marcus was gutted about that, wasn't he? It's a bad draw, that.
Absolutely gutted. They'll all be played on the week of December 15th, a little pre-Christmas treat. Fans have already been claiming that the draw is rigged because of all the big teams in the competition. They've managed to avoid each other.
Yeah, some of them have managed to avoid other teams by getting knocked out in the last round.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what a big team is these days anyway, for crying out loud.
Liverpool rigged this for themselves.
Yeah, maybe. Was it Mikel Antonio was doing his 67 bollocks? Say I'm 44, I'm doing the 67 bollocks, you can stop doing it now.
I don't know what that
we're
is.
Killing it
yeah,
dead.
I don't know what it is
that?
either.
It's this thing kids do. It's in a song. It's about crime. Okay. We would like to apologise to Stinging Bishop Enterprises. The cheese does not contain asbestos.